This is IsAware, powered by Intersoft Associates. IsAware is your connection to exploring the systems and software that power businesses like yours with expert insight, experience, and advice.
Welcome back to IsAware. I'm Chris Bentliff, and I'm joined by Hai Goldstoff and Abe Unger from Intersoft Associates. And guys, I wanted to talk today about kind of a companion piece to a conversation we had earlier that said how you treat your data is really indicative of your relationship with employees and your maybe inside culture. I think there's a equal discussion to have around how does your data, how you treat your data is indicative of your customer relationship. But I think there's a larger conversation, Hai, around technology in general, particularly software. And I'm mindful of a story you told some time ago that you actually stopped going to an ophthalmologist because you were no longer confident that they were running the kind of organization that you would want them to, where your data was concerned or where your records were concerned, because they were running off of Windows XP. So let's start, Hai, with, should I be thinking grand, like software and technology in general, or should I be thinking, in more sort of siloed or compartmental areas around how I'm thinking about technology or data or software and my customers?
I think, the sum of the parts becomes the whole in some cases. So, yeah, certainly the software as a whole, but each of the pieces are really important. In the case of the ophthalmologist, now my former ophthalmologist, the only reason he was using old technology has nothing to do with anything other than cost. And as a result of that, he actually lost some of my data not because the technology is bad, because he didn't have the proper, backup. The data should never be lost nowadays. If you're doing things properly, but if you're managing things that you're not facile in, and if you're doing everything based on cost, you have to kind of weigh cost versus value. And, he's dealing with my eyes. And, we lost a prior picture of the inside of my retina, or whatever that is. And there's nothing to compare it to. It was the baseline. There's nothing to compare it to. So he's jeopardizing, my optic health only because of cost. Has nothing else to do, strictly because of cost. And that's unacceptable. And it certainly that philosophy, trickles up or down to any organization. If you're, dealing with cost only and not on value, at the end of the day, the cost is going to be greater in lost opportunities, lost customers, lost employees.
Right. And if you're cutting corners, where else are you cutting corners? And what else are you trying to just get by rather than do things properly or correctly just so that you can get something done?
And I think there's an interesting, Hai, you're technologically savvy. And so you can draw a relationship between the lost data and an older platform. And then you can, make presumptions because of your business experience and expertise that it's a cost factor that's stopping from doing this. Some, grandmother going in there and just finding that the thing isn't there anymore, that feels wrong, but they don't necessarily understand why it feels wrong. And I think this is true for a lot of customers who aren't nerds, who don't understand data, who don't understand all the stuff, but they know that what their expectations were not met. And it's not their fault. And I think that's kind of a fragile place to put your position to put your customers into. What do you think, Hai?
Well, in that particular example, yes. Okay. But, losing information doesn't matter why, certainly, again, people are more savvy on what's capable in today's technology. Maybe they may not know how it's done or what the components are, but they're a lot more savvy. And losing a baseline result is really problematic. And if it's not the grandmother, it's her children, her grandchildren, but there are so many different ways, and word of mouth comes out. People who are savvy talking about it, and you ultimately wind up hearing it. It's not immediate where everybody all of a sudden, was going to realize this. But the problem is that he wasn't embarrassed about talking about it. And he's getting paid, the same amount of money from insurance, in this case, that my up-to-date ophthalmologist is. Getting the exact same pay scale for what he's getting. My up-to-date ophthalmologist spends more money to be up to date. Oh, well, but again, he's busier. The waiting room is busy. So he's doing, so much more volume, and people are happy to go there. I mean, one of the exams I took with the new guy, that took forever with the old guy, where he lost it, took basically 3 minutes.
Well, that's interesting. I think it connects to this idea of inertia that you talked about before. People who have been with a business for a long time don't necessarily feel motivated to change that relationship. And we all have our own sort of thresholds for what will be the arbiter of, this is the last straw for me. But Abe, I think that there's an interesting connection between this idea of transparency or communication. This particular person didn't seem to recognize how he should be embarrassed that he's running something so old, or that he, in fact, it's not running something old, but lost the data. What a profound customer experience, negative customer experience, to have to communicate to your customers and say, we lost a bunch of stuff. And it doesn't matter how or why, and we'll explain it to you, but sorry about that. We lost a bunch of stuff. Aren't we putting ourselves in this idea of savings at risk for far more expensive issues?
Well, absolutely. But that's the part of the magic of today's technologies, is that it's so simple to do a lot of these things to recover from it. And it's just that cavalier attitude of, I got some data, I got a computer, it's great, nothing's ever going to happen. And in today's day and age, as we said, as was mentioned in the past, hardware fails, software fails, things are going to crash, life happens. But with a simple communication and talking to other people, you can understand, you may not understand the details of how it gets done and what the difference is between on-site backup and off-site backup and cloud backup, but the details of those are immaterial. The concept is, you need some kind of a backup, talk to the appropriate people who can set that up for you, and it can explain it to you. It's not that difficult a concept. And you're right, we're in technology, so it makes a lot of sense, but we can actually explain that to somebody in a way where they would actually understand, what's at stake, what the risks are, and how to mitigate those risks.
Yeah, and also, if someone's running an organization, it's very few organizations today don't have some sort of an IT partner, someone in the IT world, be it the people who provide their ERP, be it a firms like ours, be it a firm that manages their network and internet and all of that, and those are people that if they're doing their job properly, should make sure that their data is backed up. I mean, and it also goes more to just data. It goes to processes. If processes are cumbersome, that is, that's also a problem. So a problem for your customers if they have to navigate it. It's a problem for your employees if they have to navigate it. So it goes, it's multifaceted.
Whose responsibility should this be, Hai? If I don't have an IT partner, should I go get one? In the case of this doctor, and I think it's a useful illustration. We keep coming back to this person, but why doesn't he have somebody who's sort of pointing out what is obvious to some, and he's completely sort of ambivalent about that there are technology issues? Who should I be surrounding myself with, or making sure that is part of my company, especially if I'm in a small business, especially if there's just a handful of us? What should I be thinking about?
In this guy's situation, he knows what he's doing. He's willing to accept the risks, because he jotted down some notes and some pictures of the inside of my eye, but he doesn't have the picture. And, picture's worth 1,000 words. And, so he's aware of it. He says it's not worth spending the money. He knows there's better stuff out there. This is adequate. This thing worked for God knows. He's running XP. This thing worked for the last 15 years at a minimum. And he knows it's not up to date, but he knows it's adequate. Yeah, it was fine 15 years ago, did the job 15 years ago, but today we have, better software, better processes. And part of that is, if you're doing this kind of stuff, is having a proper redundancy of your data and better ways to diagnose or look at potential problems.
It's almost two different crimes. One is to not be aware, and the other is to be aware and just to choose to not do anything about it.
If you're aware of it, if the people that are aware of it don't do anything about it, there's no hope for them. That's their mindset. The people that have it are not aware of it and would more than likely act on it. And that's just having the right. That's just having the right partners, and that's also having a culture of constant improvement. Is how do we make things better all the time? If we stay stagnant, our competitors will catch up to us. If you're in a large organization, the young gun who can do it much better is gonna replace you. So it's a matter of constant improvement. What can I do to do things better? You're always looking at 3 to 5 year plans, and part of that, ought to be your technology. This is what we're going to do. This is what we want to accomplish, and what is the technology that we're going to have to help support that. And if what you have today won't support it, becomes obvious that that's an area that has to be addressed in one way or another.
I think that's interesting, Abe, and I think it's often forgotten about. I think when we put together our strategies, our short term and our longer term, when we think about who's going to do what, when we think about we need to improve sales, we need to go in a different direction here, we need to hire a new HR person, operations needs to improve this and that. I don't know that technology and data come into that conversation in the way that they should. Do you? What do you think?
Well, the idea is one of, look, you're always moving. You're either moving up or you're moving down. Even if you think you're staying at the same level, you're not. So when you're doing this and you're sort of moving around and you're not really following up on things, you're going to be losing. Someone else is going to gain ahead of you. So you have to have this concept of this idea of constant improvement. And that means talking to the appropriate people who can help you with making the decisions that you're not clear on, you're not sure of what to do. There's something out there, or maybe you heard about something, or you don't know what's out there. You talk to someone who's appropriate and they'll sort of help you along that path. And that's part of what we do, is talk to people. And even if it's not our area of expertise, but we know enough to be helpful and point someone in the right direction. And that's really what this is. It's that curiosity, that constant drive for improvement. And that's something that unfortunately is not there for everybody. There are a lot of people who won't do it, but most of the people are looking to make things better. They just need some help.
Hi, do you feel like one of the takeaways for me in this conversation today, I'm wondering if you agree, is we really, if we're going to be running a modern business, we have to take responsibility for the technology involved. And that if that's not a strength for me, or if I don't understand the importance of this or that, I have to surround myself with people, whether that's folks like Intersoft Associates or whether it's somebody on my team, or I need to outsource my IT or something. But I need to have somebody that can help me strategically think about my technology and my data. It's almost irresponsible today for me not to. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think you need a trusted advisor who can help you with what best practices are. May be able to do it, may not be able to do it. That's ultimately the decision of the person making that decision, the business leader. But you need someone that that you can rely on, who's got your best interests at heart, who's invested in your success, and will tell you what best practices are, what you should be doing, and when you should be doing it, and what to look out for. I think I said it also just from a software, navigation standpoint. And it's a little bit off topic, but I'll bring it into the mix. If your software is inadequate and it's hard to use and cumbersome to use, in today's era, there are more jobs out there and there aren't people to fill them, people can go wherever they want. And if you're not addressing this, it may be the straw that broke the camel's back. If you're making their job hard to do because they want to do a good job, they're going to get frustrated and work somewhere else where they're, perceptibly, better regarded. That we're invested in our clients' success. Our clients ought to be invested in their employees' success to make the organization that much better.
It's well said, and it's a great pinpoint to end our conversation today. Thanks, guys. Hy Goldstoff and Abe Unger. Great insights and advice for us to think differently about, especially if we're a small business, maybe a family business, mid-market, where we've just kind of been coasting by. This is a great reminder for us to start to take these things with a seriousness that maybe we haven't been. Thanks, guys. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for IsAware, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one today. IsAware is powered by Intersoft Associates, who believes the more you know about your IT, the better. Visit us at intersoftassociates.com and schedule your free consultation to talk about how custom software can help your business.